So we've just passed the halfway point in Silo Season 3, and after coming off the back of what I'd argue was the best episode in this season of the show, the next installment, Episode 6, titled Drive, has a lot to follow on from and to live up to. With us not really spending much of the runtime in the before time in Episode 5, I feel like this next episode is going to focus heavily on Daniel Keene and Helen Drew as they're finally confronted by the person that's had their beady eyes on them and been making sure that nothing gets in the way of the AI that they seem to be developing. This is actually set to be the longest episode of the season so far, coming in at 54 minutes, so I feel there could be quite a bit to digest. So with just under a week to wait, I wanted to share my theories and predictions on what I think could happen next. Here is Silo Season 3, Episode 6, Theories Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers from the TV series and also the trailer for the wider season. First off, the synopsis for the next episode is Billings and Hank stumble on a new mystery. Daniel and Helen receive a surprising proposition. Along with the synopsis, we've also seen that the image that is the thumbnail for the next episode on Apple TV. The part that I want to focus on right now though is the section which I think is connected to the title of the episode and also the second half of the synopsis. Daniel and Helen's proposition. During the ending of episode 5, we saw that Daniel and Helen were in conversation in the car that he rented with Cash after picking up Helen because he thought he was being inconspicuous and believed that he wouldn't be able to be tracked. However, as we saw, that wasn't the case in the slightest. When Daniel mentioned Per Stenson, the #1 advocate for the use of artificial intelligence and how he could be connected to the Iran mission that cost the lives of 3 people and almost the life of his sister Charlotte because he was on the limits, the car went into self-driving mode and started driving towards an unknown destination. Judging by the still that's being used as the thumbnail for the next episode, I'm presuming that this is where Per Stenson is going to be, and the car is most likely going to be driving towards the airplane hangar that he seems to be at. What we know right now is that Colin Hanks is actually the actor that's playing Per Stenson, so I imagine we'll see him in the next episode. This is where I believe the proposition to Daniel and Helen is going to be made. With his connection to artificial intelligence and him being an advocate for it, I think he could well be the person that's behind the creation of the silos, as after all, they are governed by an algorithm that sends off the commands and threats. The proposition that I think Daniel and Helen could receive from him is that they might well end up being offered a position inside one of the silos after he explains the project that he's working on and why it is that the silos are being built. We know that the Dirty Bomb was supposedly dropped on the United States and it led them to be in this position of a new normal, but I wonder if with the use of artificial intelligence, Per Stenson is aware of a wider threat at bay, and that could be what's prompted him to look to build the silos, a place where a select group of people, maybe based on skill set and variety and background, are able to survive what could be some kind of apocalypse. Within the wider trailer, we saw that Helen was walking into what looked like a presentation of the silos. The grass was green, the sky was blue, and there were smiles on people's faces. She had the number 18 on a lanyard around her neck, so I'm also wondering if she's going to have been offered a position inside of Silo 18 as one of the first 10,000 residents that was there. Now, this is me just going a bit rogue and spitballing a theory, but I almost feel like we could see some kind of Squid Game / Fallout blend eventually potentially taking place. I feel like the United States are gonna do the damage to themselves, and it almost be because they want some kind of reset to civilization and they're just framing Iran to be some kind of common enemy, or it could genuinely just be an accident. This is also where I think all of the 50 silos are essentially in competition with each other without truly knowing about it. It's almost like only one of the silos is going to survive how long the world is going to be in that devastated state for. If AI is being used, then what's to say that the AI hasn't run a simulation to know how long the poison's going to be in the air for after the bomb was dropped, and also calculated that out of the 50 different silos, how long it would take for one of them to reign supreme. It's far-fetched, I know, but at this point, I feel like anything could quite literally be possible. When it comes to the proposition that Daniel is going to be receiving though, I actually think he's going to receive one far greater than Helen. Daniel is of far more importance than what Helen is due to his military background, his background in politics, and the very fact that he was praised as a hero for what he did in Louisiana. This is why I'm still thinking that Daniel is going to be somebody that's heavily involved, even in the present day, 350 years later. I feel like the algorithm could well be based off Daniel. They just sound so similar, it's uncanny. So I reckon he's going to be swayed to join them and his morals are going to be tested. It's basically either join them or die. Sims will be caught. The division between Camille and Robert Sims is something that's unavoidable to see at the moment. He's on the side of keeping Jules alive, he's been harbouring Bernard, he couldn't bring himself to kill him, and he wants to expose the secrets of the silo once Jules finds out how to prevent the safeguard protocol from happening. However, when looking at what happened during the ending of the episode, that could bring about Robert's downfall, and I think Camille is going to be facing her biggest challenge yet. Does she look to protect the people in the silo, which means condemning her husband, or does she look to protect the person that's closest to her, which is Robert? When Sims gave Jules that Pez, he did it in a location which was extremely public, something that did surprise me, and with there being cameras everywhere, and if the algorithm is all-seeing and all-knowing, then could Robert have been spotted handing over a relic to her? The Pez relic is one of the most iconic relics in the show, so one would imagine that the punishment that comes with handling one of those and also giving it to Jules, somebody that the algorithm doesn't want opening her mouth, could come with the punishment of either being sent to the mines or maybe even being sent out to clean. We haven't actually seen any major deaths in this season of the show yet, and personally, I think Robert Sims is going to meet his end in this season of the show. The character has basically developed as far as he possibly can, and with him turning against the silo and also the person that he loves most in the world, his wife Camille, the maximum redemption has been reached. So I fully expect Camille to be the person that maybe sends Sims out to clean in order to protect the rest of the silo. The division between husband and wife has to go somewhere, and with Sims also stressing the importance of wanting to be remembered by his son, his end has been set up pretty perfectly. Paul Billings. The final main thing that I'll touch on in this video comes from the first section of the synopsis, and that was that Hank and Paul Billings are set to make a discovery. First off, I'm glad that we're going to be getting some Hank in this episode, because other than in episode 5, we've not had any real screen time of the character. The discovery that I think the both of them are going to make is going to be centered around all the Kent's death and the stealing that's been going on in Critical Supply. A commenter on my Ending Explained video shared a theory that the theft could potentially be coming from a different silo, and I do love the idea of that. We've seen the before time, the present day in Silo 18, and it would be cool to open up the connected nature of the silos, where maybe some of the silos are ahead slightly in terms of revelations, but maybe they've burned through more supplies and are in need of them. As much as I like that idea, I'm still standing by the fact that it's Ed Harwood, his daughter Glenda, and Orla Kent's boyfriend, former boyfriend of Glenda, that could be involved. We've been introduced to them in small doses, and I honestly just don't see why we'd have been introduced to 3 brand new characters all surrounding Orla, seeing that they were established feuds, and also have her pop up in the mines, which is what Ed Harwood is the head of if they didn't have anything to do with it. So I feel they're going to make some kind of discovery that could ultimately connect to Orla's death. One other element of the story that could connect to the expanding world of Silo is that Martha, Shirley, and Knox were told that the ability to speak to other silos was possible, but they've just been using the wrong stations and channels on the radio to communicate. So I feel like with the help of Bernard in the shadows, we could see the group reaching out and trying to communicate with any of the other 49 silos. We know that Solo appears at some point because he was in the wider trailer, so I'm hoping he's going to appear in some way soon. For now, these are the main theories that I have on the next episode and feel could potentially unfold. Obviously, there are still so many different directions that the show could go in, but these are the ones that I'm sticking by. I definitely think Robert Sims is going to meet his end in this season, and I feel we're going to start to build towards that. So, there you have it, Silo Season 3 Episode 6, Theories Explained.